Shut up and sit down.
In 2024, the ChampCar iRacing Series is back for its 7th year of putting sim racers in the driver's seat. Once again, the grand prize of this year-long competition is a drive in the ChampCar Endurance Series, real wheel-to-wheel racing on the bucket list tracks of North America. But it's also about the competition, about the camaraderie, about learning some of the great tracks that the ChampCar Endurance Series goes to, and just a great way to keep your skills sharp. I'm David Haynes with Devin Peters and Michael Derby as we get ready for the first of 12 rounds of sim racing competition in the ChampCar iRacing Series this year. Round 1 is from Road Atlanta, and we'll work our way not only around North America, but around the world this year, and also try out a handful of different cars that are available on the iRacing service. Devin Peters, we're going to see some very exciting, very close racing tonight, and it's also for some great prizes.
Yeah, absolutely. Big prizes on offer this year. $2,000 going to the first, 2,000 champ bucks going to the first overall driver in the points after the 12 rounds. But don't worry, you don't have to be fast to win with the ChampCar iRacing Series. You can win just for showing up. That's right, we're doing 3 250 champ buck prize draws. One for drivers who show up to the first 4 races, another for the drivers who show up for races 5 to 8, and finally another for races 9 to 12. We're also going to be hosting a bunch of enduro events. Check out the forums for more information on those. But another $1,000 cumulative is on the line for those team entries. So a lot of prizes, a lot of opportunities, and a lot of ways to turn that virtual wheel churning into real wheel churning.
And it's never too late to join us either. Forum.champcar.org has all of the information of the season, of the schedule, of the tracks we'll be going to, and of the prizes as well. And all the races will be brought to you with live coverage, both on HJBC and also champcar.live. A big welcome to you wherever you're joining us. Let's now focus down, though, from the full season, all of the exciting racing to come, to this race here, Road Atlanta, traditional kickoff point of the ChampCar season. World-renowned, very well-loved, always close racing here. And all of our drivers this round in identical Toyota 86s.
Yeah, you won't get the same variety of cars and weather as you do in the real ChampCar series, but the level playing field really helps let the cream rise to the crop. And we're kind of seeing it here today as we get into this qualifying session. We got 14 cars, the top 14 cars within 0.6 of a second. It's going to be a real tight battle, and I bet you the draft is going to be a factor all the way through, Haynes.
It's busy out there, and indeed they're qualifying, just a short qualifying session to set the grid for the 1 hour race. All drivers, all cars on the same setup, and with that starting setup they have 7 gallons of fuel in the tank. Of course, that will not be enough to complete 1 hour of racing, so there will be a therefore compulsory pit stop somewhere in the middle of the 1 hour race. The drivers will have to negotiate their pit in, their pit stall, their pit out, and one of the key strategy pieces that is, of course, important to endurance racing, bringing it here to this single driver format of the ChampCar iRacing series. And like Devin pointed out, some longer 4-5 hour races to come later in the year with teammates. Very much the flavor that people are used to in the ChampCar Endurance series, but here on iRacing, where you can try out all of these tracks that might be a bit too far to tow for. Stay sharp with your skills, practice, and race with your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. And the practice isn't for nothing on this simulator, of course. If you've never driven the iRacing simulator, it's very realistic. The huge-ass team, largely comprised of drivers that got their start in the simulator before coming into the virtual world. And one of them on the screen right now, Alex Crawford, currently qualified 5th and hoping to put some pressure on the front, I'm imagining.
And of course, every single iRacing track is laser scanned to incredible precision. The dimensions exactly correct to Road Atlanta. The driving surface, every bump, therefore modeled. A great way to practice and get accustomed to Road Atlanta if you haven't been. Now, there's not long left in this qualifying session. Avery Miller up top from Paul Darling. Simon Foweather, long-time ChampCar competitor there in third. Joshua Soto, the defending champ, in fourth. And Alex Coffard, who we're just looking at, in fifth. Not too many laps left to improve in this qualifying session. And of course, traffic is looking mega with more than 50 cars out there. I've seen the entry list for the ChampCar Endurance Series at Road Atlanta on Saturday is 50 plus cars. So getting close to that here tonight.
Yeah, and the chaos levels there will probably be similar to the chaos levels here. It's busy out on the track. Seeing the odd wreck here or there in our qualifying session as people are flying around. And I'm just enjoying the pack battling that's already beginning. People are playing around in the draft, trying to get an advantage time the runs out. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. Long back straight into this turn A, 10A, 10B complex here. A lot of key overtaking opportunities. But then, of course, in a car like this, flat out down the hill, flat out through the final corner, you can definitely see some overtaking happen into turn 1 as well. Don't have the option on iRacing to use the alternate pit lane on this layout. Otherwise, we might consider it. We're using the typical Petit Le Mans layout here. Taking a look at Ian Giebler, as he's currently 11th in qualifying, potentially improving. Looks like with 2 minutes left on the clock, everyone will get one more lap. So how does it look like for Ian Giebler as he keeps it flat out through the final corner, crossing the timing line? No movement, 2/10 short.
Yeah, with this long of a qualifying session, it's just as much about finding a good drafting partner as it is about finding the good lap, and that's kind of what we're seeing out here. A few green sectors here or there at this point, but things are looking really solid otherwise, really consistent otherwise throughout the field. Avery Miller, with that 1:35, 1:38, has really put in an impressive time, leading the field as he crosses the start-finish line here in that TRD liveried car. He's the only one down in the 1:35 ones. Everyone else, I spoke too soon. Paul Darling has just jumped up to the top right behind him with a 1:35.0.
Great lap laid on from Darling, and I think that's going to be the qualifying session of both of them done. Paul Darling and Avery Miller, no chance to improve in the remainder of this session. Now, we know endurance racing fans love to have all of the information, so too do endurance racing teams. If you've got a friend, a teammate, a spouse racing tonight, HJBC.live has the live timing. You can keep up to date with their lap times, their pit stops, their position. If they're not on screen at any moment, you can check the live timing, HJBC.live. It's also in the YouTube description if you're watching on YouTube. Final laps of qualifying right now. You expect with a slipstream this strong, with pit strategy and 1 hour of racing, that it's not the be-all and ends-all, but if you can start up front, it always feels nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I'm looking through this top 10, I'm starting to see some of our familiar names filter back to the top. We'll get into that in just a moment here once our qualifying session wraps up.
So most of your top 10 on the leaderboard at the moment, wrapping up their qualifying session. Darling, Miller, Foweather, Soto, Coffard, Federation, Lucas, they're all off the track now. Mike Young and Jared Kellmans are out there still. And so too's Ian Giebler in 11th, just outside of that top 10. Drivers doing their best to stay out of the way.
Whew. Man, that was a very busy qualifying session. I was trying to keep an eye on all corners of the track at the same time, but hard to do. Luckily for us, we've got the very diligent timekeepers over at iRacing to help us out with that. And it looks like just one more car to cross the start-finish line, if I'm right.
It's 51 drivers with a qualifying time at the moment, 3 who haven't set one and aren't out on track. One of the drivers with 1 lap left in qualifying is Ian Giebler, trying to beat a 135.8 to improve. Pole currently a 135 flat. It is super, super competitive. 1 second from pole, actually covering the top 16 cars, but Ian Giebler, that is his qualifying session done. Taking a look at Will Nonamaker, at the moment 34th. Great representation from our friends at Team Salins. I think they've got at least 4 or 5 drivers on the grid, all different variations of yellow, red, and black, the colours of the Salins logo. Will Nonamaker moves a couple of positions up there to 25th. A few drivers practicing their pit entry, which of course we talked about is going to be a necessity in the 1 hour race coming up. Takes Trask 48th, either taking this as more of a warm-up session or maybe with a chance to improve on a 139.9.
As you mentioned, the Salins guys, I have to throw back to just the great community of folks we got out here racing. You know, if you want to get in, if you want to get to know the guys before you get to the track, this is the place to do it.
Logan Senhauser, aka Logie Bear, representing the Karakuchi taste. It's big in Japan. Let's look at the grid, and it's a big one for the opening round of ChampCar iRacing Series in 2024. It's a healthy grid. You can see how many pop-up tents there are on the pit road as well, because it's 50 plus drivers all trying to get off to a great start this season, with $2,000 to the championship winner. Lots of other great prizes to be won all throughout the year as well for showing up to the mini seasons and also for the Enduros coming up. The pole, the front row, Paul Darling and Avery Miller behind the iRacing Costco Kirkland brand sedan pace car. Row number 2's got Simon Foweather and Joshua Soto. Those two lined up on the grid there. Got Alex Coffard and Dennis Federation, row 3, for what will be a 2-wide rolling start. We'd make it single file if we could, but this is the iRacing default. Hopefully the drivers will have plenty of respect on this race start. Joshua Lucas and Mike Young are 7th and 8th, and Jared Collins and Johnny Sartorelli are the top 10. Then Ian Giebler and Christian Peeler, Nick Love and Otis Adams, 13th and 14th. Miles Browns, Matthew Bruce, Jordan Butler, Kyle Robertson, Alexander Stone, and Jesse Mullins are the top 20, Devon.
Yeah, once we get past 20, we got Charles C. Brown and Bowie Sewin, Colin Lounsbury, Aaron Reed, Alex Albert, and Ismail Ublau. That gets us out to 26th place. 27th is Gabriel Alvarado. 28th, Alan Purser, Mark Kruger in 29th, Tim Wire, longtime series member, in 30th, Logie Bear, Logan Senhauser in 31st, Ray Hartney in 32nd, Sean Roberts in 33rd, Will Nonamaker 34th, Scott Grinnell's 35th, Orlando Harrell 36th, Kyle Lockrow locks up the 18th row with 37th, Thomas Yankee 38th, Andrew Cossack 39th in that most mint vehicle. Thomas Love is 40th on the grid, Ron Morris the 3rd in 41st, John Nickelford 42nd, Alan Wells 43rd, J.R. Cabrera 44th, Greg Vanderbilt 45th, Brian Tidd 46th, Bryce Crow 47th, Bill Salin 49th, Brian Allen 50th, Albert Pierceal 51st, Rob Craig 52nd, and a couple drivers off the back not qualifying today. We got William Alcala in 53rd and Steven Schaefer Thunder in 54th.
Well, if Thunder's in 54th, Lightning must be on the pole. Paul Darling with the fastest lap in qualifying, and now leading the field for the formation lap at Road Atlanta. Given an update graphically just to bring everything up to tip-top, beautiful standard recently on iRacing, and we're going to plenty of other beautiful tracks throughout the season as well. Full calendar, all the information, forum.champcar.org. The iRacing section is up the top. The next round after this is Wednesday, February 21st at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. And of course, we do hit all of the Champ Car favorites: Daytona, Watkins Glen, Sebring, VIR, Mid-Ohio, Road America. You're going to love it. The drivers are going to love it. And hopefully plenty of them stick around. Great grid to kick things off in 2024.
Yeah, they come down the race, the back straight here, and the Whittington brothers could land a plane on it, so they can just about navigate 50 GR86s too wide down the back straight here. But as we see them rolling by, the drivers are feeling through their wheel all the bumps and little shimmies that come on this back straightaway. And they'll start to form up here, get a little tighter as we get into 10A and 10B.
It's for glory, it's for bragging rights, it's to start your 2024 sim racing season on a great foot. ChampCar iRacing Series of 2024, with a year-long season champion, will win themselves a ride in the real ChampCar Endurance Series, giving a little bit of space to the pace car as we approach the final corner. Paul Darling is on pole position, and he is going to kick off the new year, the new season, from pole position. The green flag waves, we get going, and your leaders are side by side. The outside lane with a pretty good start. Someone else with a really massive jump down the inside. It might be Jared Collins. And 3 wide into turn 1 on cold tyres can always be a challenge, but he slots in nicely, and our leaders doing a great job. But it looks like Avery Miller from that outside of the front row getting a great getaway and into the lead.
I got a stupid grin on my face. This looks like turn 1 at a ChampCar event. It's busy all the way through the field.
And it's a super busy start to the lap as well, as you immediately go through the S's. You've got that blind turn 3. You've got to practice it. You've got to know where the apex is, because you turn in and you trust that it's there. You don't want to leave too much space. You don't want to shortcut the track either. Turn 5 up the hill. The exit curve, super difficult there. There's a lot of speed riding that curb, but it's a big curb, and they're all on cold tyres. This is a car that can get unsettled very easily on a big curb when the tyres are cold. The suspension doesn't work right. It doesn't damp right when there's not enough pressure in the tyres, and this is where Road Atlanta gets super interesting. A long back straight in a car that's basically got the road car engine in it with a couple of little go fast bits. 200 and something horsepower means the slipstream is strong when they're on slick racing tyres with a rear wing on, but Paul Darling looks to be pushing Avery Miller. They know that they're both quick. They were both super quick in qualifying, and they're going to try to stretch away from the rest of the field on this opening lap. Joshua Soto, defending champion, is in behind them in third. He also made a position on the opening lap. Seems the outside lane got a great start into turn number 1. He's now being pushed by Simon Foweather, who's being pushed by Dennis Federation with top 5 off to a great opening lap.
Jesse Mullins in car 57 deserves a shout out after making 13 positions in the first lap. He's currently running 7th overall, fending off the likes of Mike Young and Josh Lucas behind him. An impressive little run through the middle of the field for him. We'll see if he's able to make a dent on the top 5 here shortly.
Then 8th, 9th, 10th in the group behind, heading up through the S's. This is this turn 5, that big blue and yellow curb on the exit, then a little bit of access road. So if you can leap across the curb onto the access road, you really open up that corner to carry speed up the hill, where it's so critical in a grippy, nimble, but relatively low-powered car. Definitely representative, I think, of some of the cars you commonly see in the ChampCar Endurance Series that have, 200 and some horsepower. Maybe kind of like the BMW E30s out there, maybe like those Lexus SC300s.
Yeah. I got great news, David Haynes. I've just been looking at our telemetry, and I'm very happy to report that Avery Miller, Canadian.
I saw that, but I didn't want to get you too excited too early, because it is a long race with still 56.5 minutes left on the clock. A lot of cooperation and heads-up driving happening at the front here. Of course, gets a little more chaotic as you go through the field, but they're settling in up front. How about this here? This certainly looks complicated.
Yeah, there's a heck of a schmozzle going on back there. Once you get a little deeper into the field, I think we're looking at who's that facing the wrong way.
That's the replay on Simon Foweather, and Jesse Mullins might have T-boned him at turn 10B, if I've got the naming convention correct.
Yeah, happy to report that that won't be the end of the race for those guys. The ChampCar iRacing Series offers one fast repair, one get-out-of-jail-free card to these guys who managed to write one off. A little bit cheaper than the real thing, but make sure that everyone can stay in the race.
This is the leading pack at the moment as they come out of turn 7 onto the back straight and then arrive at turn 10 somehow. Don't ask me about the naming. Maybe ask Bob Varsha on Saturday. We'll find out. Top 3 really trying to work together after losing Simon Foweather off the back of the train. They've opened up a little bit of clean air to Dennis Federici, Alex Coffard, and there's a laps car there as well that 4th and 5th are trying to scoot on past. Joshua Lucas in 6th in a little bit of a no man's land before you then come to the group of cars completing the top 10 of Christian Piela, Johnny Sartorelli, Nick Love, and Otis Adams.
Yeah, and these drivers are getting the full ChampCar experience. They're already starting to run into a little bit of lap traffic. Some early wrecks in the back of the pack have put a few people out of position on the circuit. So coming through some of that field, Greg Vandevert in the 44 car just got passed by Alex Carford and Dennis Federici, who are headed into turn number 1. And there's a few more just up the road from them.
About 2.5 miles around this racetrack makes it relatively short, especially compared to some other places we're going to be going this season, like Spa-Francorchamps, like Daytona International Road Course, like Road America. What a beastly track that is, all through the forest, almost definitely longer than 4 miles. 4 and some miles that track is, not like here, just 2.5 miles, 50 drivers. It's pretty dense pack racing out there at the moment, and it seems like some of those cars that have to go through pit lane for some repairs, they're basically getting spat out right into the middle of these super close battles.
Yeah, some of the drivers might have been thinking that the early pit stop is the way to go, try and get out some of that traffic, but unfortunately the way the timing works, once you fuel them up, it spits you right out in the middle of the field, like you said.
And if you get too much of that curb, it can spit you right round at turn 7. 2 cars around. Was there a bit of contact here? Well,
Charles C. Brown.
And then loses speed, gets helped around, and the car behind also loops around. It starts with a slide.
Yeah, Charles C. Brown and Matthew Bruce look like the victims of that one there. And when you put a lot of cars on track,
carbon copy in the background as well, maybe. It's looking like one of the really dangerous spots of the track there.
Yeah, these GR86s are really fun cars to drive. Oh, and we're seeing it there. These GR86s are really fun cars to drive, but they're a little bit tricky too to drive right. Once they get sliding, the traction control can kick in and really kind of make it tough to bring them back.
The pace is ramping up. The track is cooling down. Paul Darling, Avery Miller, Joshua Soto, our top 3. You see them on screen right now, negotiating turn 5. Avery Miller taking a lot of the apex curb. Paul Darling taking a lot.
We've lost David Haynes there for a second, not sure why, but we'll keep it going. This battle at the front is going to be the most important one, of course, and they have managed to form a bit of a gap back to the guys behind. It looks like nearly 2.5 seconds from 5th place back to 6th, and another second between 1st and 3rd. And coming down the back straight here, we got Josh Soto, series champion, taking a look up the inside of Avery Miller, our new arrival, first race in the series for Avery. A cleanly executed pass. That's textbook going into the 10A, 10B complex there. These folks are really showing kind of the high end of the competition that you can see out here. Everyone on track's in a battle, but these guys are battling, and they're running low 135s at this point in the race, right on pace with those fastest qualifying laps that they were able to put up.
Is it Thomas Love there?
Yeah, they're coming by Thomas Love. He's a lap down. Or about to be a lap down. He's got Paul Darling right behind him. We'll see if he's seeing the blue flags here. Thomas Love, gotta imagine, related to the Nick Love Racing family. Love Racing, of course, another team that brings out 4 or 5 drivers and does pretty well for themselves out on the real world track. Commentator's curse. You ever heard of it? I think I just did it. Thomas will have to find a way to safely rejoin there. We'll continue on with the lead battle. It's been kind of interesting to see how Darling's been able to just hold a little bit of a gap from Soto and Avery behind. Avery's even doing a little bit of pushing here down the back straight, but for whatever reason, Darling just seems to have a little bit more. As I was looking through the driver bios before the race, Darling did mention that the GR86 is his favorite car in the real world and in the simulator, so I'm willing to bet that that's the guy who's got a lot of time behind the wheel of it. Soto gets a good run up the hill, though, and a good push from Avery Miller besides, and he's going to catch the back end of the draft as they come across the start-finish line.
Taking a look at the speeds through the speed track, Joshua Soto, Avery Miller, each about 2 miles an hour quicker than Paul Darling at the end of the straight. So they're hoping that makes up the difference. But through this sort of opening part of the lap, it's corners, it's flowing, it's not really slipstream dependent. Paul Darling looks strong.
Alex Cofford in the 45 is having to go too wide through the start of the S's. He's our 4th place driver right now. And behind him, Dennis Federation too wide as well. They come up on William Alcala, who's again coming off the pit lane, losing a lap here. And that traffic is always going to keep you busy. Got to make sure you manage it. And the field is strung, well and truly strung out. I'm seeing cars all the way up and down the field, as well as a few on the pit lane.
Speaking of Nick Love, there he is, 647 in 6th place with his little group with Josh Lucas, Johnny Sartorelli behind them. Another battle going on. You've got
the battle for
Mike Young and Kyle Robertson. You can pick out the Drive Trainer Motorsports cars in green and black and pinstripe. And then Ian Giebler, Alex Albert, Otis Adams, Colin Lounsbury.
Yeah, Alex Albert, former series champion, currently running in 14th place in that huge-ass liveried car. He's following Ian Giebler, another regular, down the field. Looks like Alex is lining up and move up the inside, dives it in late under braking, very aggressive, and he manages to put it in. Alex showed up a little bit late. I don't think he got a ton of practice today. I know on the way in he was saying that his shifters even were giving him a little bit of trouble.
Made a very, very aggressive late braking move there, but got the position. Now he also faces up on just a little bit of traffic as he tries to catch Kyle Robertson, Miles Brown, and Mike Young, leading him up towards turn 3 here, which is a bit blind, and you've got some slow cars maybe occupying the apex. You've got to have your wits about you at all times. No longer occupying the apex.
Oh, it's risky, and it almost makes you want to use that motorcycle chicane that they got been paved over since, but still in this scan, and a viable exit road at moments like that. And they use a whole bunch of dirt on the exit of the S's this time, just behind. Up ahead, Kyle Robertson holds the inside tightly. This battle for 10th place is really spicy.
It's battle packs all the way through the top 20 at the moment. Lots of little groups, but definitely also some teammates capable of working together here. Miles Brown now working his way ahead of Kyle Robertson, and maybe hoping to bring Robertson along with him.
Paul Darling in the 55 is going to be dealing with some lap traffic here as they come to the start-finish line. He's got Josh Soto and Avery Miller now right up on his bumper. He gets a little bit of help from Matthew Bruce. Well done, getting out of the way, making sure those guys can get by cleanly. But that battle at the front that was spread out over 3 seconds is now down under a half second. Back in 7th place, the 46 car of Johnny Sartorelli is too wide going up the hill with Nick Love on the outside trying to hold him off. And it's a little bit sketchy through there. Nick Love does the brave thing, though, and holds the outside, leaves the door open, does Johnny, with Christian Peeler and Josh Lucas going around the outside through the S's. It's always tough to go too wide through here, but they're making it work. Respectful driving. Very nicely done from Peeler there. Secures the spot and does it with no contact. You love to see it.
There's some great pocket picking by Nick Love and Sartorelli and some of the others there, picking off some positions as they go through the most difficult part of the lap, it must be said, those S's. Then also, it's difficult to manage the draft, manage the side-by-side battle.
Yeah, and we've lost Haynes there again. We'll keep dealing with those technical difficulties, not just the drivers that get to have them, it's us commentators too. We're following along still with this battle. Looks like our eyes are on. Is that Alex Albert going up the inside, or is that Coffer that I'm seeing?
Albert and Giebler have traded this spot back and forth a couple of times. It's a less aggressive move this time from Alex Albert to get back ahead. But it's for 13th and 14th at the moment. And I don't think over the last lap they made much progress at the group in front.
Yeah, it's always tough, and with the amount of traffic we're seeing out there, we're really seeing a separation. It's kind of giving me flashbacks to the 24 hours of Daytona where, just the wrong car at the wrong moment on the track, you'd see guys fluctuating by as much as a second, 2 seconds a lap. Sticking with
Soto, up in a second as of recently.
Mm-hmm.
Not super recently, but it was Darling and Miller as the front row. Now Soto having gone from fourth up into third early on, now into second. I think a car length or so closer to race leader Paul Darling than in previous occasions. It's 0.3 of a second at the moment. He's got those 2-3 miles an hour extra, just inching his way closer to the race leader, and then I think just waiting at this point. Still early in the race, 3/4 of it still to go with a pit stop throughout there somewhere. Soto might be racing tactically.
Yeah, Soto has definitely got a lot of experience doing that. A one-time champion and a lot of race wins under his belt. One-time champion? I might be misspeaking. He might be a two-time champion by now. Either way, he finds himself with some new competition. Avery Miller is still a mystery to us. We got to get him to fill out a bio or them to fill out a bio. But Paul Darling is a guy with a fair amount of experience, over a decade on iRacing and 4 years behind the wheel of real world cars. He's said that his goal for the series this season is simple: win. And we'll see if he's able to get himself out on a real track this year. Early performance like this is a promising one for him, and as I said, he's a guy that likes to race a GRH6 on the real track as well, so he's got the chops for it, that's for sure.
I had a look back through the history books, and it seems like across the last 5 years, the race winner of round one has not gone on to win the championship. The other way of looking at that is the eventual champion didn't need to win race one.
True, and it is a long season with the point structure being the way it is. Of course, you got a few opportunities to drop weeks, so if you have a bad week your first week out, your second week out, heck, even your third week out, you can still come back from it. Got a little battle pack that we're following along with here. We got Sean Roberts diving for the pit lane as Paul Darling and Avery and Josh Soto come across the start-finish line. Looking a little deeper back into the field, I'm watching right now the battle between 34 of Christian Peeler and Johnny Sartorelli and William Alcala behind. Those three have been going back to fight forth, slicing and dicing.
Yeah, tiny bit of lap traffic in there as well between Christian Peeler and Johnny Sartorelli. Sartorelli looks down the inside.
Yeah, I missed it the first time. Alcala's actually a lap down right now and getting out of the way, as we're seeing. That's Robertson, who's peeking up the inside in that Drive Trainer Motorsports car. Robertson has an Enduro win under his belt, I believe, last season. So another pretty well-respected competitor around here, well-known one.
Looks like he gets the red stripes, got yellow stripes a bit further back down. How about Alex Albert, Ian Giebler? Inseparable, it seems, at the moment. Looks like Alex had the inside, but Giebler had the nose further in front. It's a sweep through this corner that then sets them up to turn 7. Giebler leads them onto the straight, not always where you want to be. How about a little bit of a pass in the grass from Miles Brown? He's like,
Nicely
no, I want to
executed.
stay in line of the slipstream, and that means I'm going to that side of you. Thank you very much.
Up ahead, we're seeing Mike Young in the 23 car diving out up the inside. I was talking about how experienced some of our drivers up at the front are, with Paul Darling having 10 years experience. How about Mike Young, been racing iRacing since the beta, according to his bio. Guy's got upwards of 15 years on the simulator, and it shows with a nice move like that as Johnny Sartorelli takes what might be our first scheduled pit stop of the race.
Yeah, there's a couple scuffs on the car, but might have just been seeing some of this lap traffic and decided, nope, now's the time. So 20 minutes into the 60-minute race, he's looking down pit road to try to find his pit crew, and slightly confusingly, they do shift from the qualifying session to the race session. They are now in qualifying order with the pole sitter all the way down at pit out. And if you're sort of qualified 30th, 40th, you're a lot closer to pit in. Sartorelli, the car goes up on the jack, so fuel will be going into the fuel cell. It's a big fuel cell that they swap into these race cars. So that's quite ChampCar spec, to be honest. What is it? It's like 25 gallons.
Yeah, it's heavy duty back there. You can run these things. Well, let's just say when the GR86 starts to become ChampCar legal, they'll be popular with those fuel tanks.
Yeah, the road car is a little shorter than that, but the modifications for the specific cup car spec of race car, it gives them those slick tyres, it gives them that wing, it gives them a pretty nice exhaust system to try to get 20-30 extra horsepower out of it. Sartorelli's back in the race.
Yeah, just a mental note for Sartorelli there. That was 38 seconds stationary. So that's our marker now. And as we see the other guys starting to come in, no one else in the top 30s made a scheduled stop. As we see them come in, though, we'll have to see how they compare to that 38-second mark. This is a series where oftentimes the racing on track's important, but the time in the pit lane's even more important. Bill Salen gets well out of the way on the outside there.
Yeah, he's done plenty of racing in the ChampCar iRacing series lately, so he knew what was coming. He knew the clever thing to do. Not necessarily speed, but definitely some experience and some wisdom on show there.
Yeah, I think he's the guy who does better in the real car than in the virtual car. But it can always be a little tough to go from a lot of experience in the real world and then chop off a few senses to go to the virtual thing. And our lead pack is really going to be catching some lap traffic. I see about 4 cars within 2 seconds of ahead of them coming up here.
Yeah, 4th and 5th quicker than the leaders on the last lap. A lot of that traffic dependent. Dennis Federation and Alex Coffard trying to catch the leading group, but they are going to need to be quite fortunate with regards to all of this traffic. Trying to stay out of the way, but it's oh so tough. Another one of the Salem's cars. Paul Darling had no troubles with it. Joshua Soto caught a little bit off guard. That checked him up. Avery Miller maybe thinking of looking around the outside.
It's tough to put a move on Josh Soto, so when you got an opportunity, you got to take it. He's up the inside here. Holds it tight. It's hard to do too wide through turn 1. They're going to make it work. Unfortunately for Soto, this little kink helps, but it doesn't give you the spot, and he's not going to get it. Oh, and gets squeezed, does Avery, from, that was Brian Allen, who's a lap down ahead of him.
Huge pucker moment, and lets Paul Darling get out to a race lead of almost 2 seconds. Dennis Federation from 4th place is in the wall. So
oh, no.
A lot happening through turn 3 on this lap just completed.
Yeah, getting a good look at it. It looks like Federation comes out of the first turn and finds a lapped car rejoining. That's unfortunate. John Nicholford does a bad rejoin and takes out a competitor, Alex Cofford, now running in 4th. And I imagine there's going to be some hurt feelings over that one.
Yeah, that's not nice. Not very well executed. Alex Coffard's now around. I wonder if he's sustained a little bit of damage. This is at turn 6.
Yeah, and he does the wise thing. As we see the replay here, you'll see him just get a little bit wrong. It's easy to make the car bounce and spin there, but critically, once he rolls off the track, he backs up and then gets going the right way. Another little bit of drama up at the front. Oh, this time Avery Miller's involved. Oh no, coming down into 10A and 10B. We see Avery Miller rolling away slowly, and he gets caught in the middle, taking some evasive action. No contact, just dodging some of the lapped cars that were coming by. He gets the thing pointed the right way as well, but all of a sudden our lead pack is dropping like flies. Avery Miller straight into the pits and crashes again.
Gets turned in pit lane, which is a busy place right now. Joshua Soto also pitting in. Paul Darling, the race leader, staying out, but some carnage on pit road.
You know what it was? I think Bryce Crow's pit lane is one of the first boxes, and so Bryce has to come out of the fast lane, but Avery is passing in the slow lane up the inside. That's tough. Tough luck.
And then overshoots the box as well. Gets that fast repair though. Will get the fuel in. Not taking any tyres, but Joshua Soto is. And then he lights him up a little bit. Is he trying to go? He is now. In Giebler, Nick Love, you can see a lot of other cars in the lane.
Yeah, and one of the tricks here is once you get to over 50 spots, you start, or over 40 odd cars in here, you start sharing the pit lanes. The spots on pit lanes. So sometimes guys are going to be driving up on a spot and have a hard time even seeing where they're supposed to be stopping.
Big race off of pit road here with Avery Miller now in front of Ian Giebler, Alex Albert. There's Alex Coffard in 16th now after that spin that we saw, but he's been through pit lane and he was mighty quick, both in qualifying and at the start of this race. So this is an exciting little battle pack to watch. We know that the driver out front has a lot of speed. The drivers behind have been battling each other. The driver at the back of the tail has a lot of speed as well. Could get very exciting. And that's a great pit entry from Joshua Lucas. Sebastian Vettel tips his cap. You got to treat it as racetrack till you get to those yellow cones, the start of the pit lane speed limit. That's not how pit lane's meant to work.
Yeah, there's something funny going on there. Ray Hartney's gone and got it all sorts of wrong. Find out what's going on for him. Also seeing a couple graphical bugs here, I think. Either way, Paul Darling is parked and in his pit stall and getting away cleanly.
Yeah, expecting to see Paul Darling continue in the race lead, having run a lap longer and now also executed a relatively clean pit stop. He is back in the race lead.
I'm not sure what's going on pit lane there. There's some sort of bug happening with the amount of cars we managed to put on this track today, showing off that really impressive car count. Either way, Paul Darling gets away with a pretty quick stop. A short stop, though, 23 seconds. I guess 23 seconds puts him about average. Josh Soto behind took a 31-second stop. And he's running second right now, but a pretty big gap between the two of them. Over 10 seconds between Paul Darling and Josh Soto.
After that slick pit entry.
Oh, no. Josh Lucas has gone and spun it too. The comedy of errors here at the pit stop. We'll see how this all shakes out. So what I'm seeing right now is that Paul Darling's leading the race. I got Josh Soto in second. I got Mike Young running third, leading a battle pack composed of Christian Peeler, Sean Roberts. That's what I got for our top six, and we'll see how it filters out over the line. So big moves there in the top five, and Paul Darling kind of the winner of all of it. If he holds on and manages to dodge the traffic for the next half hour, you ought to think that he's going to be able to put a bow on this one.
I think Avery Miller was hurt by a couple of incidents, including being spun in pit lane. Joshua Soto had a weird kind of stop there where he definitely went up on the jacks for a tyre change, and then he crept forward and maybe stopped and then crept forward again. So I think that's where the bulk of this 13-second lead's been had, and that's why Paul Darling, perfect stop, now leads Joshua Soto by 13 seconds. Mike Young in third, Nick Love, Christian Peeler, Dennis Federation, Miles Brown, Avery Miller, Ian Giebler, and Alex Coffard as the top 10.
Avery Miller in the 49 car had a heck of a moment going into turn one, managed to gather it back up, but it looked like that race was going to go from bad to worse for a moment there. 8th place finish, respectable in a field of 54 cars. But Avery, I got to think, has got the sights set firmly forward with more than a few cars within battle and distance.
So this is Mike Young, third place, from Nick Love, fourth, Christian Peeler, fifth, the 3 cars you see right here.
Yeah, and really respectable effort here from Mike Young. He was saying that he usually races with SRN Motorsports, a team that does a lot of endurance racing, but says also that it's not the GR86 it's his favorite car. It's the GT4. So we'll see how he does when the GT4s come out of hiding later on this season.
Yeah, everyone this round in Toyota GR86s, but that will change throughout the season. Next round in the Mazda Miata, then the Renault Clio Cup car, buzzy little front-wheel drive thing. And then we've also got the Porsche Cayman and BMW 4 Series as well, which will be pretty quick, but also some brands that we see very commonly in ChampCar Endurance Series. So big moves from Alex Coffard. Remember, he was behind all 3 of these drivers not long ago. Now he is flown past them, easily spotted by the yellow rims.
Yeah, every one of those huge ass cars a little bit different. Up ahead, Avery Miller is starting to get a little antsy behind Miles Brown, peeking out in the S's. No moves to be made there, but definitely moves on the exit. And then just ahead of them, they got Sean Roberts in a lapped car who's contributing a little bit of draft here. And we'll see if he makes way for the 2 of them heading into this turn. He does a good job of that. Meanwhile, Avery's looking for their opportunity to take the lead, or at least, get ahead of Miles Brown here. Getting a little bit of that side draft.
Yeah, that's the plan. And then it's always complicated. Which side do you go to try to make a pass down here into turn 10A? Because you want to think left-hand side is down the inside, but if you go to the right-hand side, go around the outside of them at A to get the inside at B. Bit of a squeeze at 10A, but it looks like Avery Miller will pull it off with then a good exit over the hill, under the bridge, completing another lap. Past the halfway point of this race now with 28.5 minutes to go of 60 minutes. Flash of the headlights because Avery Miller's got a little bit of lap traffic they want to get through.
And as you can see, we've jumped up the road all the way up to 3rd place as we follow Nick Love here, and the battle behind between Mike Young and Christian Peeler. And if you're Avery Miller, who had that incident or that pair of incidents earlier on, you're thinking, hey, I could still finish on the podium here with how close this battle is, going from 3rd back to about 10th place. Soto's got, meanwhile, about a 7-second lead, and then Paul Darling still holding on to 13 seconds out ahead. We'll let you know if those numbers start to change drastically.
So at the moment, from what I can tell, the fastest lap of the race still belongs to Avery Miller. It's Alex Coffard cutting his way through the lap traffic at the moment. The next car for position for him is Miles Brown, which is the next Drivetrainer Motorsport car. Not with the blue stripes, but with the yellow little detailing. Is that pinstriping? Is that a pinstripe?
I think it's a little too chunky to be a pinstripe, but I see where you're getting it. But yeah, he's coming up on him.
Drivetrainer Motorsport cars are all green and black, then with a 3rd colour.
Yeah, really clean looking out there. And we've even got Andre Jameson cheering them on from the chat, so props to that. Bring the whole team and the fan club too.
Apparently they're accent stripes, not pinstriping, but between an Australian and a Canadian, I think we've learned our accent striping.
Big wreck in turn 1, big wreck. Federation was coming around and Up ahead of him, there was an accident. It looked like Bill Salen got tangled up with Christian Peeler, and Federici kind of had nowhere to go. Salen ended up parked right on the apex, and then boom, right in the door was Federici. Toes immediately, going to use that fast repair to try and get in the race, but you see it here. Salen tags the inside wall, and boom, nothing Federici could do. So the battle for pace in the start of the race has turned into a battle of survival here as drivers are navigating the increasingly spread out lap traffic. Looks like of the 54 cars that started, we've still got 34 that are on the lead lap and nearly 50 that are still lapping. So it's a busy track out there for our leaders and for our drivers all the way through the field.
Side by side down the back straight for Alex Coffard as he catches and tries to pass Miles Brown for 7th place. Very hot through the first sector, might get crossed over for the switchback through the second sector. Miles Brown puts his nose down the inside of the long and sweeping final corner.
Yeah, he was leaning on the TCS there.
Looking for the switch back in towards turn 1. Is it a late defensive move from Brown? Coffard still gets to the inside of 1, and it looks like he'll be able to make that work from there. Tough to pass anywhere else around these opening S's. And that's Alex Coffard back into 7th place. Needs 5 seconds up the road to catch Avery Miller in 6th, but could be a tough ask depending on if there's any damage on the 49 of Avery Miller.
Yeah, so despite the fact that things are spread out a little bit, we still do have a healthy battle going on there. The other one that I'm kind of keeping my eye on is the one between Nick Love and Mike Young that's brewing here as we get down to the last 25 minutes of the race here. Those two on the back of almost on the podium are starting to get a little feisty here. We'll see if there's a move going down into 10A. And they'll keep it in line through here. Showing off that real nice handling from the GR86 there. Back in the pack, they're too wide. Cofford still fighting with Miles Brown, trying to make it work. And Cofford gets a bad run and then gets a tap from behind as Alex Albert joins the fray. Albert, of course, former champion of the series. Mr. Huge Ass himself.
So, Brown, Coffard, Albert, Giebler for position. Some of the others around them are some lapped cars.
Always a little bit hazardous. And Miles Brown takes the hazardous line out of there. He's going to get a little bit of a loss of momentum there. Have to give the spot to Alex Cofford once he gets more than enough overlap. And this time Cofford will lead onto the back straight. I don't think this is a battle just for 7th place. This is we got cars going from 7th all the way back to 12th here.
And a bit of a train forming in places here as well. Just trying to stop Miles Brown and Alex Coffard from getting away. Oh, it's a bit silly.
It was a good push. It's a good push. And Alex Albert's really deep, but really well timed. And Alan Wells staying up the inside. Oh no, a little bit of contact there. And that's Ian Giebler facing the wrong way. Oh boy, we're gonna have to have a driver's briefing next week about rejoins, I think. Speaking of, our next race won't be next week. It'll be Wednesday, February 21st at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll be trailering and I guess cargo shipping those ND Miatas all the way across the pond to go racing there. So expecting more of that chaotic kind of drafty action here if you're enjoying this today.
Silent Assassin, biggest mover through the fields, the 58. Davis Trask started almost all the way at the back. Now 29 positions gained, trying to keep his nose clean and remains on the lead lap. So that's Trask just trying to sneak his way up through the field, and it all looks very clean around him at the moment.
Yeah, it's things have spread out, and you know they say cautions breed cautions, but once you get them all spread out like this, it's a little bit calmer. Ooh, and Andrew Kosick slowed down the back straight. You see him in the back of the picture there. That Mint car is, I think, missing a right front wheel. Yeah, it is. So, not all calm. But we'll follow the lead battle here, or the higher up battle. Mike Young is in third place as he rounds across the start-finish line. And he's got that's Nicholas Love right behind him.
And Nick Love fighting for a podium if he can get it.
Yeah, Nick Love, of course, been around a whole bunch, but we've known him to be a pretty quality racer throughout his time here. I think he's only notched maybe one other win, though. Have to go back and check the statisticians for that. He's been doing a lot of time on the simulator by the looks of things as I'm reading through the bio. Gets a nice run there.
Yeah, Mike Young was a bit wide off of that corner as well. Nick Love got it just right, and so now has some decisions to make about when to pass or to try to bump, because you can see the next car up the road is second place Josh Soto. It's only 3.5 seconds or so, and the draft off the back of these cars is about 1 second, so you can actually chop a second off that, because you don't need to close 2 seconds a gap to catch someone. You only need to close 1 second a gap. You get to that draft, the draft does the rest. If you can get within 1 second of them, you've basically caught them, because that's where the magic snap happens.
So interestingly enough, Paul Darling continuing to just show a masterclass here. He's pulling away 17 seconds up the field. But what's interesting to me is Josh Soto seems to be backing off a little bit. He's now 17 seconds behind Darling and only 4 seconds ahead of Mike Young. It's a very real possibility that we could see these drivers challenging for the podium here in a bit if Soto's recent pace keeps up. He's last time by run a 1:36.2, and Mike Young and Nick Love closer to a 35.8, 35.9. We'll see if that's just the traffic at play, or if that's going to be a battle here a little closer to the end. A little deeper in the field, Crawford still leads Miles Brown. Now got a little bit of gap, and Alex Albert on the other side of it.
Not looking like they're at all successful in catching Avery Miller, holding on to 6th at the moment.
Yeah, Avery Miller really showing some impressive one-lap pace. Kind of funny, the guy behind him's got 4,800 I rating. He's only got 36, but once you get to those kind of rarefied errors of numbers, you know, it's they're all really fast. And it seems like our leading 10 or so have entered a portion of the lap where they're not facing a lot of lap traffic. I bet you they're all collectively breathing a sigh of relief.
It's letting Joshua Soto ramp his pace back up, basically exactly matched by Mike Young and Nick Love here in 3rd and 4th. But are they being maybe caught a tiny bit by Christian Peeler there?
Ooh. And that's Rob Craig in the background there, having a little off. Of course, ChampCar sessions always run 3 hours. We do an hour and 40-minute practice, a 20-minute qualifying session, and then 1 hour race. And we also do a practice race the week before if you want to get your yips out early. Now let's see if we can find an interesting battle a little deeper down the field here.
How deep do you want to go?
Well, I'm watching Jordan Butler and Jared Collins. I don't think that counts because the two of them are running 12th and 13th, but the two of them are right at the back of a little spicy train of lap traffic here. The three cars ahead of them, Thomas Love, Josh Lucas, and Sean Roberts, are all almost racing for position a few laps down. So we'll get to, I think we follow them here for a few laps and see what it's going to take to navigate all that traffic.
Yeah, so amongst this, Joshua Lucas, Jared Collins, Jordan Butler, Kyle Robertson is the Drivetrainer Motorsport car off the tail. Some of the traffic will let them through. That'll help sort some of this out. The red and blue car, also traffic that this battling group of four are trying to cut their way through. Joshua Lucas in black and yellow. Pretty buzzy B livery there, as he's now going to get to the inside of a lapped car, trying to get away from Jared Collins, Jordan Butler, and Kyle Robertson. You can see now Collins and Butler, they're looking to the inside here of turn one to try to get through quick as they can, try to stick with Joshua Lucas, who's 11th place at the moment.
Butler gets pinched there, but manages to make it work. And will hold the inside Drivetrainer Motorsports car there. Robertson gets cut off a little bit, but doesn't force the issue. Showing those good instincts as he comes up on Thomas Love. Gotta wonder if Love has in mind helping out the older brother a little bit. Thomas, if I understand correctly, a little bit less experienced than his brother on the simulator. And this time Robertson will get the inside. Oh no! And tags Love and then gets the worst of it himself. He'll keep on going, but that's going to cost him some time.
And we're entering the final stage of the race here as we take a look at the replay of it.
Yeah, you'll see the cars are so on the limit, and as I mentioned earlier, the traction control in this car can make it tough to catch.
Sometimes you have this thing happen where you know it's going to be close, so you try to give yourself more room by getting more up on the curb, and that actually puts you out wider, and we maybe saw a little bit of that as you got to the inside, a little bit too much curb. Here's Alex Albert on Miles Brown, trying to look around the outside of turn one, which is super bold, but there's a bit of room out there to use.
And he makes the move up the inside, but it doesn't pay off.
Got to have a really good run to turn three to try to pull off the move there for sure. Closing stages of this race, everyone has made their pit stops, and almost all of them look like they took on board enough fuel as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have any fuel troubles today. Our fastest stops of the day, all around 23 seconds. Only one that seems maybe a little bit short in the top 10 is right at the back of it. Otis Adams running 9th place right now. It took 2 seconds less of fuel than anyone else. Luckily for him, he's got some cars ahead. He's actually got a bunch of lap traffic he's having to weave through here right now. Gets past the Salins car. They're going to split him 3 wide. I love it. And so Collins taking the outside. And Odyssey going to lose the inside line going into 10A here. And Collins, nicely done. Comes down the back straight, makes it 3 wide, and then uses the traffic to his advantage to take that one away. Really clean. Collins, one of the new drivers to our series, racing what he calls the 1991 Acura Integrator. And got a bunch
wide for a couple of cars here in turn one. Miles Brown, I think, got in there too hot. Alex Albert nearly got in there way too hot. Both of them get a little bit of grass, but Alex Albert comes off the better of it. Now up into 7th place, 18 positions gained across this race so far. He's not going to get to the 30 positions gained of Davis Trask, but he's trying.
Yeah, it's been a solid race for him today, gotta say. Shaking the rust off nicely. Back closer to the front, Avery Miller is making a little bit of a gap from Alex Cawford, or holding on to it rather. But Cawford's definitely been the faster car over the last few laps.
Not long ago,
Cawford did get a little bit of help there from Avery Adams. I think or Avery Miller rather, having an issue a little bit earlier on. It looks like a couple laps ago. So this will be a bit of a battle. I know that Cawford is bad fast in this thing. He came to the practice race last week and hung out for 20 minutes, and I think set a low 35 that stunned everyone in the practice race, and then did that, and oh no. And of course, as we start talking about Avery Miller, I think we have a disconnect there. Oh no, he's blinking. So connected sometimes, but not always. And here's hoping he'll be able to stay connected to the server. Bad feeling. 10 minutes to go, and that starts to happen.
Odd thing here is his ping going up and down, but the quality's still staying at 100. So I don't know how you don't lose the packets, but they just get super delayed, and suddenly you're on 2-day shipping or something.
Yeah, got to watch out for that high quality cable internet, you know. Alex Crawford, though, up the inside this time, going into 10A, and he's going to make that move stick. Nicely done. Waits to turn in until late and keeps Avery on the outside. So that's going to take away 5th place from Avery Miller. And you gotta be careful once you start blinking like that. Not just because you're worried about making contact with the other guy, but sometimes you can feel it on your end in the simulator. It'll kind of throw the car off, make you feel a little uncomfortable.
So Alex Cawford, the Alaskan turned Floridian turned Carolinian, now back into the top 5, throwing it across the curbs in the closing stages of this race. Points to be paid shortly in the opening round, the 1-hour race, the ChampCar iRacing Series at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and Paul Darling just driving away with it. Has held on to that about 16-second gap, really methodical through the traffic. Every time I check in on him, he's just executing a clean overtake and kind of showing what it takes to win in this ChampCar Series quite nicely for a first time out.
Sometimes good things get on a roll for you, and now he's in a situation with a 16-second lead where he doesn't have to take any risk with this traffic. He can catch them and pass them on his own terms, and in doing that, he's cleaner and in the end more efficient. So it's starting to work well to Paul Darling's favour. Had immense pace in that opening stint as well. Remember that Avery Miller and Joshua Soto were in his slipstream, but still 2-3 car lengths back, and they didn't seem to be bothering him. He looked like he had all the pace in the opening stint as well.
Yeah, he been comfortable the whole way. So our major battles as we come down into the last 5 minutes or 7 minutes here is pretty much every position from 5th all the way back to 15th. Alex Crawford and Avery Miller, then Miles Brown and Alex Albert are a twosome. Jared Collins and Otis Adams are going to be giving us a show, and Jordan Butler and Josh Lucas probably going to do the same.
Well, Alex Albert had Ian Giebler to battle for a while there. Now he doesn't. He's just got to go back and forth with Miles Brown. Never a boring moment. And then just outside of the top 10, some other battles going on. Points go down to 35th or so? Question?
Yeah. I'll pull up the exact points formula in a minute here and tell you. top 38 drivers. So 50 points to first place, 46 to second, 42 to third, 39 to fourth, 36 to fifth, and then we start to count by twos and ones down from there.
Miller pushing Coffard towards turn 10A in some hope that in the last 6 minutes they might catch Christian Peeler. I'm not sure on it.
Peeler hasn't filled out his bio, but he's showing himself to be quite a racer here today. But I do have a message from Dennis Federation that Peeler, you are the slower driver. I think he would have liked me to say it while he was racing right behind Peeler today, but of course that wasn't in the card for Federation, who did lead Peeler for a good chunk of this race before that accident in turn 1.
Now, I keep looking at the nose of that car thinking it's damaged, but I think that's just actually the GR logo's positioning. So it's initially a little bit confusing.
Yeah, the rear end of that car of Crawford's is a little bit bent up, but the front end is looking okay. I think likely Crawford's still carrying that little battle scar from the bump he received from Alex earlier in the race. And it remains to be seen which one's going to make the first move here. We got Crawford and Avery coming out of 7, looking real close together. But then Alex Albert and Miles Brown come out of 7, and they look even closer together.
And a little bit more traffic. Yeah, Albert's definitely close. Looks deliberate from Brown to stay at the left-hand side of the circuit and only offer up what will be the outside line for the next corner to Alex Albert. But we've seen him make the pass here from either side of the racetrack, and with the strength of that slipstream, you get most of the way across and ahead anyway. And if your nose is in front, you can hold around the outside, take the inside for the next, like we're seeing here, and then hope that you get good enough traction off the exit there to hold it all the way down towards turn 1. Not sure that that's happened, because Miles Brown is now ready to return served.
Yeah, it's it's going to be close here going into 1. Alex holds the inside. And doesn't leave space for Miles Brown to get a by him. These two are putting on a bit of a show here. Albert, last of the late breakers. That's his driving style.
Equal drivers in this car will give you is just super close wheel-to-wheel racing, and what we're looking forward to for the rest of the year in ChampCar iRacing series as well, with both ChampCar members, with sim racers, and then also some real-world drivers from some other categories joining us as well. It makes a really, really great mix. Everyone gets to see what everyone else is about, and some lucky drivers who perform across the year will earn some points, win some prizes, as Brown back down the inside of Alex Albert as they go through 6, now 7. Your exit here, so important. I wonder if Brown almost just compromised himself a tiny bit too much. Is that, are they being caught now? I think they are.
Yeah, they're getting caught by Collins, who's put together a few solid laps actually in a row while the two of them have been battling. So this might be a 3-way battle for the end of the race here. What won't be a 3-way battle is the lead, I think. Paul Darling now out to an 18-second lead, but we'll keep our cameras here. Darling out to an 18-second lead. Josh Soto got 6 seconds back to Nick Love, and only 2 seconds between Love and Peeler. So we'll see if that tightens up here. But coming down to 2.5 minutes to go, it's this 3-way battle for the back half of the top 5 that looks to be the source of all the action.
And we've had a very, very stern talking to with our race control. No one's going to get shortchanged today. No white flag yet. We're going the full distance.
Yeah, we said we got to stay all the way to the end, man.
They'll have no more of that nonsense happen once Chelsea Vickery's in charge. I'm sure she'll straighten him out. So, Miles Brown, Alex Albert, Jared Collins as a 3-way fight here inside of the top 10 for glory, for points, to just maybe have that psychological one-up for the rest of the championship and all of the other Toyota GR86 races that are coming up, because it is one of the most popular cars. It was voted the most popular and it therefore has the most races, the most rounds. We'll be seeing it a couple more times still. And it's included iRacing content. So if you sign up to iRacing, no extra cost to get this Toyota GR86. Same's true of the Mazda MX-5 Cup car.
Yeah, and happy to report that with the end of COVID, there's a lot of steering wheels just floating around the used market all of a sudden. Everyone that thought they were the next Ayrton Senna has realized they might not be.
Everyone who thought they were the next Ty Majeski?
Ah, there you go. That's better.
I'm trying to keep up to date. Great move there from
Miles.
Albert?
Oh, yeah, it was Albert. I'm telling big lies.
Alex
Albert's
Albert
got a few
on
car
Miles
links
Brown, who's now under attack from Jared Collins. They've seen the white flag. I think. Was the leader about to see the white flag?
We'll see. It's going to be close here for Darling.
One more after this. One more after this for the leader, right? 30 seconds to go.
We'll have to see. He might not make it to the line in time. He's got the time that he could lift here.
Oh, he will. He will. And even if he did lift, iRacing race control never throws the checker without first throwing the white flag. So the time can elapse if you slow down, coming to the white flag, but then you still get shown the white flag and have to complete another lap. Just approaching 10 seconds left on the clock as the race leader, Paul Darling, crosses the start-finish line to take the white flag and give us one more lap of Road Atlanta. He's had great race pace, slower race pace. Might have seen this race go one lap shorter. When the drivers decided how much fuel they were going to take at their pit stop, did they bank on that? Avery Miller and Alex Coffard continuing their battle.
Yeah, they're glued together up at the back half of the top five there. And Cofford's trying to take the inside. It's a tough move behind. We're watching Albert take evasive action almost down the inside as Rob Craig gets out of the way for them. Got some lap traffic ahead. Alexander Stone up ahead of them.
And this group of drivers will be seeing the white flag now, knowing that it's the final lap and it's all for keeps. Nick Love side by side with Christian Hill,
Christian Peeler? Yeah. It was a lapper he was getting by. Peeler's still ahead of Nick Love as they're coming up.
Peeler's gotten ahead of Nick Love and onto a podium position because of what we just saw for Nick Love.
Oh,
racing at Road Atlanta for the ChampCar iRacing Series. Positions being decided all the way down to the final lap, except for the most important position of them all. The race leader, Paul Darling, has the checkered flag in his sights, and he will start 2024's ChampCar iRacing Series in perfect form, maximum points for him. He's excited, but how the other positions will settle, only time can tell. 3 wide coming onto the back straight it was. Joshua Soto is not troubled for his second place, but every spot behind that, Devon.
Yeah, Nick Love's going deep, but Christian Peeler's going to make the move on the lap car ahead of him, and I think that he's going to hold on to it for third place. Nick Love dropped back behind. Behind them, we're 2 wide. Alex Cofford making the move around the outside of Avery Miller for 5th place as they pass the limping Scott Grinnell.
And Alex Albert's going to keep his nose down the inside of Miles Brown, but the cars on the inside look like they get a bad run across the curb. Jared Collins is behind them to go 3 wide, 7th, 8th and 9th, down the hill towards the checkered flag. A car out of fuel in the way, and Collins, does he pip the spots from the both of them? Alex Albert, it didn't quite work out for him, but it all worked out for Jared Collins. He finishes ahead of Miles Brown by 0.02 of a second. More positions being...
Colin Lounsbury up the inside with Johnny Sartorelli on the outside. The 2 of them going 2 wide across the line. And it looks like Lounsbury manages to hold off Sartorelli right at the end there.
Robertson. And there's Ebler from Kyle Robertson here as well. And I think Bowie Suin in 19th was the last car on the lead lap. Of course, it's a short lap for these cars around Road Atlanta, barely more than 90 seconds. We'll get much closer to some 3-minute laps later on in the ChampCar iRacing Series in 2024. A year's worth of action, though, in just the first 60 minutes. Congratulations to first-time...
And we've lost David Haynes again. We'll get that one sorted out for next week. But yes, congratulations to first-time racer, first-time winner Paul Darling as he pulls one over our defending champion Josh Soto, who finishes second. Christian Peeler comes back from the edge to hold on to the back end of the podium. Nick Love in fourth, Alex Cofford fifth, Avery Miller sixth, Jared Collins seventh, Miles Brown eighth, Alex Albert ninth, and wrapping up the top 10, we've got Otis Adams. We'll see if any of the drivers are available for an interview today. But in the meantime, we'll keep on going down the order. We got Jordan Butler in 11th, Josh Lucas in 12th, Colin Lounsbury 13th, Johnny Sardarelli 14th, Ian Giebler 15th, Kyle Robertson 16th, Tim Wire 17th, Davis Trask 18th, 19th is Bowie Suin, 20th, Logan Senhauser. And then getting to cars that are a lap down, we got Orlando Harrell in 21st, Gabriel Alvarado 22nd, Kyle Lockrow 23rd, Alan Purser 24th, Alexander Stone 25th, Scott Grinnell 26th, Sean Roberts 27th, Thomas Yankee strong 28th, Andrew Kosick in the most mid car puts a tire on it, finishes 29th, Brian Allen 30th, Matthew Bruce 31st, Charles C. Brown 32nd, Stephen Schaefer Thunder comes back from a 54th place start to a 33rd place finish, Bryce Crow finishes 34th, Mark Kruger 35th, Alan Wells 36th, Aaron Reed 37th, Bill Salin 38th, Mike Young 39th. After a strong showing earlier in the race, he falls all the way down there. Brian Tidd 40th, John Nickelford 41st, Will Nonamaker 42nd, Greg Vanderwert 43rd, Rob Craig 44th, Albert Pearsall 45th, Jared Cabrera 46th, Thomas Love 47th, Ismail Ublal 48th, Dennis Federation 49th, and these are DNFers, Ray Hartney 49th, Ron Morris Ray Hartney 50th, Ron Morris 51st, William Alcala 52nd, Jesse Mullins 53rd, and Simon Foweather 54th. 54 starters, and a heck of a race to show for it. We got 3 drop weeks, so if you had a bad first race, we hope we see these folks back for the season of the ChampCar iRacing Series. Tons of prizes on offer and tons of excitement ahead. And I'm seeing only one of our top 3 in the commentary booth here for an interview. So I'll pull in Josh Soto. Josh Soto, second place finish. Strong start to your ChampCar season. How was that for you out there? It looked busy.
Oh yeah, it was a very busy field. I think like 54 cars out on track. So yeah, it was pretty challenging, like navigating through all the traffic and everything, all the events on the track.
It looked like it was going to be a good battle between you, Soto, and Darling there. Did you think you had the pace for Darling when you were close to him?
Oh yeah, definitely had the pace. But when we got into the low traffic and things like that, it was pretty hard to maintain the pace because I think he was doing like 35 flats around the track, and I didn't really get any practice beforehand. So, but yeah, he definitely had some really great pace. It's very nice seeing.
Yeah. So, and then it looked like there was some sort of incident. Did you end up taking tires? What happened during your pit stop?
Oh yeah. I ended up taking tires, which was a mistake because I think in these cars, like it really doesn't matter if you take tires. I would have to double check, but yeah, I ended up taking tires and I stalled. I stalled coming out of the pits twice, so yeah, that doesn't help the chances. But yeah, after we got back up to pace, and everything was all right.
Well, props to you, and props for a great result on the first race.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And Haynes, it looks like we've got our race winner.
Yes, indeed, we should do. Joining us now, Paul Darling, winner of the first round ChampCar iRacing Series for 2024. Great qualifying, led towards a great opening stint, great second stint, taking the win.
Yeah, it's, that was going to be tight if they could stay in my draft for the entire 60-minute race. Just hoping that I'd be able to break out of the draft, and then I was hoping I'd be able to pull a gap, and that's kind of what happened. The lap traffic was quite a significant factor in this one.
Definitely looked at. Talk us through your pit strategy then, because we just heard from Joshua Soto that he stalled the car, taking tyres, and he regrets both of those things. Yours looked very tidy, and you went a lap longer than the rest.
Oh, did I? Yeah, I'm surprised about the extra lap. But yeah, definitely, as far as I know, no tires ever on this thing. I've never done this is the longest race I've done in this car. So curious to see how the wear is actually. Yeah, it wasn't too bad though.
Completely full 27-gallon fuel cell will take it a long time on these tires as well. Powerful slipstream in them too, down that back straight. That first half of the race, I think we was looking between you, Joshua Soto, Avery Miller as having pretty equal pace and no real ability to shake them early.
Yeah, it's the draft lock is pretty serious on some of these tracks where you're wide open for so much of the lap. It's almost impossible to break away. But you just had to use the traffic to my advantage there. A little bit of luck, and was able to utilize the pace from there. And
it's not the last time we're going to see the Toyota GR86 this season, but it's not all Toyota GR86 this season. Looking at the schedule, any tracks or cars you're thinking that your skill set will also translate to?
I'm more hoping I can just make or attend most of the races here. Haven't really looked in detail at the schedule. I've got a lot of work travel, so we'll see how many of these I can make.
Well, you're off to an impressive start, putting the pace of the defending champion in your shadow a little bit, and other people will be just trying to keep an eye on how you've done it. Well done, congrats, and hope we see plenty of you in 2024.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
We go, Devon, our race winner, Paul Darling, joining us. We've got one more driver from the podium. Let's see if you can get third place.
Yeah, it looks like Christian Peeler's found his way to the interview booth. How's it going, Chris?
How you doing?
Looked like a pretty eventful race for you there. At one point, it looked like you might be stuck outside the top 5, but you managed to hold on to it all the way to the end.
Yeah, definitely a lot of luck. Better race pace than quali pace. I screwed up the qualifying by getting a 0x, but yeah, it was a fun race and definitely a lot of luck towards the end with the incident ahead to put me up on the podium.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like you were trailing behind Nick Love there. I'm not sure we caught it on our cameras. What happened in the final lap?
He got taken out. One of the lapped cars took him out in turn 1, and I just kind of had the pace to get around him. Unfortunately, a few laps earlier, I got some lap traffic knocked me out of their slipstream, so it was tough to catch up, but the incident kind of brought me back into the fight a little bit. It felt like I had a tiny bit more pace, but yeah, it's just a few things kept pushing me back.
First race for you in the ChampCar iRacing Series, right?
Yes, first one.
Looking forward to seeing you for the rest of the season. Good start for you. Third place points you towards that $2,000 prize, that's for sure.
That sounds great. It was a good time. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Anyone you need to shout out tonight?
I don't think so. Yeah, we'll do a shout out to Dennis. He's my teammate, and he was ahead of me, qualified better, and he didn't make it, but he looked really quick out there and probably would have been up there in the fight for the podium as well.
Well, looking forward to seeing you and Dennis at the rest of the races this season. Cheers.
Take care.
There we go. Our podium from a very, very hotly contested large grid of races for the ChampCar iRacing Series from Road Atlanta. Congratulations go to Paul Darling as he kicks it all off in perfect style. The ChampCar Endurance Series is at Road Atlanta this weekend. So if you're watching on ChampCar Live, make sure you check it out. And as for the rest of this season, forum.champcar.org has all the information if you want to join us on track. Otherwise, you'll catch it on YouTube with Huge Ass or on ChampCar Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Myself, David Haynes, with Devin Peters, Michael Derby. See you in just a couple of weeks' time for the next round, Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, as we take this roadshow international.